Hello sculpture students, Mr. Shaver. I'm here to show you how to use a template to help you create a little 3D box or object using slabs, like this one, okay? Slabs are really useful. We've probably talked about them before, but you can make lots of things with them. You can do decoration with them, wall pieces, any sort of like box or object. But today we're going to use it instead of cutting it in pieces and putting it back together. We're going to use it as one piece template, fold it up, and put it together that way. So if you're in my class, I've shared with you a website that you can use to make your own templates. But you can also draw your own. It's not that hard to come up with them, or you can find some online. But there's all different shapes and sizes you can use. I'm just using kind of a standard rectangular box template. So I'm going to take this template, I'm going to move my camera down and show you how I made my box. All right. And now I kept it with some extra pieces because I wanted that kind of folded up paper look, but I'll show you how you can avoid that if you don't want that. All right, so step one, we're going to take our template, right, and you're going to put it on the slab. This is kind of a no duh here. Let me adjust, make this a little easier here. Okay, so I'm going to trace my template here. Now, the paper's going to get kind of wet, so just kind of hold it down. So I'm going to trace around it. So that's step one. So I'm using a needle tool to do that. And you can probably figure a lot of this out, but I figure I'd start and do every step for you because it doesn't take that long to do. So I'm going to trace each part, and then I'm actually going to go through and also trace the lines that I have as well. So you might be thinking, well, how do I trace the lines? It's a piece of paper. You can press into the piece of paper without breaking it, and you will get a line in the clay. I will show you that in a moment. And you might end up breaking the paper, but if you can avoid that, that'd be good, because then if you goof up or you need to start over for whatever reason, you have this piece of paper and you can use it again. That's also helpful. So I'm just going over all the lines here so I know where everything is. It's going to leave an indent in the clay. Even if my lines aren't perfect, I just need them to be pretty close to what I need them to be. So now I can pull this out, and there you can see the indented lines, right? We can see where, I'll draw these so it's a little easier. You can see where all this stuff was, okay? Draw that. Now, my clay has been sitting for like a little while. I made it earlier today, this slab. But it's probably still wet enough where I can fold it, but not so dry that when I do that, it'll break. So we kind of want that in between. So now I'm going to cut out my shape. All right. I'm going to get rid of some of the clay I don't need. I will keep some of this clay around. So these little pieces of slabs might be useful for doing a decoration. They might be useful for doing a lid. They might be cool for doing some sort of handle. So I'm going to keep this stuff around because it's still good clay until I know I won't need it. All right. And like I said, you can do this with a bunch of different templates. I'm sticking with something kind of simple so I can show you how to do it. All right, a couple more cuts here. 1, 2, and last one. So this should all come out. Okay, so I'm gonna put that stuff aside. I'll keep that stuff for later. All right, so I have this. Cool. Now, these sections right here, this one, this one, this one, and this one, I could cut those off. I don't necessarily need them, but I kept mine so that I could have like the folded kind of form because I like the look of it. But what I'm gonna need to do is when I fold this up, I need to create some space here. So I'm going to make some cuts here. Because on my template, you can see where the red was. That's where those are. So I need those to be cut so I can fold it. Right? Now, then the other thing I figured out to do is if I've already made lines, but if you just make sure there's kind of a line where you're going to be folding your clay. It helps fold the clay up. All right, and we're going to do a little bit at a time. I always tell everyone the clay will do what you want it to do as long as you kind of move slowly. So I have my slip also ready to go. If you don't have any slip, if you don't have any slip, make sure you get some. So now I'm going to fold a little bit, okay? Now this won't take very long. You'll see how this comes together pretty quickly. I'll start at the back so you can see it a little easier. So I'm going to fold this end in, right along where my line was. Now you can make it a pretty sharp, or you can make it kind of rounded. But instead of trying to stretch it out, make sure you're kind of pressing the folds together on the fold so it doesn't get too stretched out. And then I'm going to fold that end up. Ta-da! There's kind of part of the inside of the box. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing to this other part. Fold it in. Fold it in. Fold that part up. Okay, now I'm going to go back and put them back down. And I'm going to do some scoring where these are going to connect. So right along where these pieces are going to hit the bottom of the box here, I'm going to do some scoring. Right? Don't be stingy on the scoring. Make sure you're doing a good job. Score all the areas that are going to come together. You can use a ribbed tool for this. I'm just using a needle right now. I tend to be a little faster with the needle. All right, now I have my slip. Okay, put some slip in there. I'm not smoothing out the texture, just adding some slip clay mixture. So now I'm going to fold this up. I'm going to press down just a little bit. I don't need to like smash it, but it should connect it. Same thing on this other side. All right, now we have the start of our box. Now, is everything 100% right now? No, but we've got a good start to this. And this will take some adjusting. I'll make adjustments to the clay as I build it. All right, but now I'm going to take this part and fold it up. And same with the other side. So I'm going to need to do a lot more scoring. Okay, so let's do it where you can see it, this front end here. So I'm going to do a good job scoring here. Good job scoring here. Now when you're folding these up, the clay, like if we're getting a little too greedy or if the clay is a little bit dry, it might want to like snap and break a little bit. That's not a terrible problem. You don't need to start over if that does happen. We can always fix it up. We can put a little coil in there. We can score and slip things back together. But if you can kind of keep it in one piece, here I'm putting some slip here. If you can kind of keep it in one piece, it'll make things a little bit easier for you. So now I have those put together and I'm going to squeeze them together just a little bit. My clay is still pretty soft, so I'm not going to get too crazy with smashing it together. I'm just going to make sure it's well connected. And that's what the side of the box would look like. And I would do the same thing over here. I would score it, slip it, put it together, and then I'll end up with, like I showed you in the first one, a box like that. Again, you could do this without, so I could have cut these. So I'm going to show you how to do this. I could have cut these away. Like I didn't necessarily need these pieces here. All right, so if you did that, I would just need to make sure I scored and slipped in between these connections where these come together. I need to do some scoring and slipping and smoothing out. So that's another way you can make this if you don't want all those extra parts. But it's pretty simple. I mean, the idea of it's pretty simple. It might take a little bit of work to get it going, but if you have a template and you have a slab that's not too wet, not too dry, you can fold it up, get in a 3D shape, and from here I can add decorations, carving, lids, handles. I can do all sorts of stuff with this, and it just started with a simple slab. So hopefully that was helpful, and I'll see you next time. Bye.